Hello and welcome to another absolutely beautifully sunny day here in equally beautiful Nova Scotia. November the 9th, the sort of extending of this absolutely beautifully balmy autumn fall that we've been having. Beautifully sunny days and not too cold temperatures, although now the temperatures are dipping down in the evenings and we're getting frosts most mornings, so they saw off the last of my raspberries and my sort of peppers that I had still lingering outside. But we're not here to talk about this. We're here to talk about how to design and build your very own dream kitchen garden even. And this is the third video in the series, and so first of all we spoke about sort of all the questions you need to ask, the background, the sort of strategic high level questions you need to ask yourself when you're designing your kitchen garden. Why do you want it? What do you want to grow? Where is it going to be? Have you got water nearby? Things like that. And in the second video I measured up my space, because here I am obviously building my new kitchen garden. Measured it up, drew it up on this little map that I've got here, and I've just got a last few bits and bobs that I haven't measured up. And one of the things I just thought about was actually my wheelbarrow. So there's one of the questions that you need to ask yourself is what space, and again in that could be in that who needs access to your kitchen garden, determining what sort of how wide your paths need to be, if you need steps or a ramp, or what are the paths made of. But because I've got this big double-wheeled wheelbarrow here, nice big, one of the best bits of kit I've bought since I've been in this garden. You can get loads in there, nice and sturdy, but it's wide. And in some places in where I've got here already, even though this is a bit higgledy-piggledy, I can't actually get the wheelbarrow down there very well. So I need to think about that when I'm designing this next one. So measuring it up, this is about, I think it's about 80 centimetres. Yeah, so it's about 80 centimetres wide. So really, I'm thinking something like a metre wide paths, just over 3 foot, would suffice all the way around. Obviously you want to make them as small as possible so you can get more growing space in, but they need to be wide to enable you to do the job. Whether that is getting a big wheelbarrow through, or if you're in a wheelchair or something like that, that may be one of those things that you need to think about. So that's that. 80 centimetres. I think I've looked at everything else. Water, I'm going to put a water butt on the side of the greenhouse. That's where I'm going to get my water from, because I'm a bit far away from my actual house, so I'm not in as great a position for a kitchen garden as I need to be, but fair enough. I'll build a water butt there, so that's another one of the things I need to think about. Now I think it's time to go in and do some actual designing. The exciting bit. What am I, what are you going to actually come up with in the way of a design? Let's have a look, shall we? Hello, so welcome to the Optimistic Garden Design Studio HQ, otherwise known as my kitchen table. So what I thought I would do is, I've got my paper plan, voila, and I've got a few shapes representing the sort of different size beds, etc., that we could think about on my design and your design if you're looking to do that. And then what I also thought I'd do is I'd show you on my some garden design software that I've got, not actually particularly expensive, it's only about 45 Canadian dollars, Garden Planner 3. So I thought I'd have a little go on the paper, just for people who haven't got anything like that sort of software, and then we'd have a better look, because you can get a better look with the colours, etc., on the actual design software, how we go about doing the actual design, and then coming up with this design to see what I'm going to do and what I come up with. What do you reckon? Let's have a look, shall we? Right, so here is my little map, as you can see. Trees on the right hand side, greenhouse at this top end, so that means north is actually at the bottom, which is, you know, the wrong way around, but this is the way I prefer to work it today. This is the bed that's already there, but we'll ignore that. So I've got the existing like little, it's like something like 1 or 2 feet wide, and then the fence line, etc., along there. And then what I've done is I have put a dotted line along the side here, which is like 1 metre out from the fence line, which is sort of saying to me, right, you can put a bed outside that line, because that's where the line where I want to put my want to come down with my wheelbarrow. So if I'm going to come down with a wheelbarrow, it needs to be, any bed needs to be 1 metre out from that fence, doesn't it? And then the same with the greenhouse. So I've got a dotted line 1 metre out from the greenhouse so that I can bring a wheelbarrow down along that end. So those are my sort of wheelbarrow lines along there. Right, so I've cut some bits of paper to sort of represent. That one's representing an 8x4 bed. We've got a 6x4 bed. What have we got here? I think these are 4x4. Something like 4x4 beds. And then I've got some sort of Gucci, for want of a better phrase, some Gucci beds with a bit of an L shape and that, just in case I want to get fancy. So I'm going to start with the maximum, you know, I want the maximum space possible. So I'm going to start with my 8x4 beds. So if I start at the top end with my greenhouse there, so I've got a nice gap all the way along there and a nice 8x4 bed right there. Okay, hang on, let's make this look a bit more. I can see the edge. Right, so there's an 8x4 bed. Now, I've got the long end and the short end. Like I said, the wheelbarrow, I think, because the south is that way, I want the long end, the longest face of the bed facing south, don't I? So that's down that way. So that's good. So then I want to be able to get down the longest side of my beds with the wheelbarrow. So that's where that metre gap is, so that's good. So theoretically I wouldn't need a 1 metre gap on this side, but I like it to go all the way down, so that's what I'm going to do there. So then I'm going to put another 8x4 bed next to it. Now I want a path in between, and I think I worked it out that I want about 3 foot, just under 3 foot I think, which I think I worked out was about there. A couple of spaces. So there's so I've got one bed in the corner there and then another bed here. Now immediately I'm seeing a problem here. If you remember, I said there's a rock by these trees that I'm sort of saying is the outside, the furthest out I want to go with my beds. Well, this 8x4 bed has gone miles over that line, hasn't it? So actually there's a bit of a hill on the edge here, so that would end up going halfway down the hill. So I'm seeing a problem there already. So what can I do there? Well, I could lop off and make it a shorter bed so that it sort of lines up, so it'd be like something like a 6 foot bed there. But the problem with that is then it just makes, it will make my whole garden look a bit lopsided. And I want, you know, again, as well as growing lots of veg, etc. in there, one of those things is I want it, you know, the aesthetics of it all. I want it to look nice. So I'm going to have to think of something else here. My beds on the other side are 6x4 beds, so why don't I try a 6x4? So I've got a 6x4 bed there. And then I've got this gap. Oh no, that's a bit small. What's going on there? There we are. That lines up nicely there now. That lines up nicely to the edge of the rock, so that works. So then I can do 6x4 beds all the way down. Now I want to be able to get the wheelbarrow down this long face, so that needs to be 1 metre, which is what 4 squares is. So let's get another bed in there. And I can do this all the way down. So there's the tree that's going to get in the way of 2 beds here, so I'm going to maybe put an 8-foot bed down there. So that looks all right. That's a, you know, functional looking actual bed, functional looking kitchen garden. But that's what it is, isn't it? It's just functional looking. There's not much in the way of aesthetics there, other than the fact that there's a couple of parallel lines. I fancy making it a bit nicer than this. I want flowers, I want some different edges in there. So I'm going to try something different. Right, what I think I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch from the paper to the actual computer now, because I think it's better visually for you guys to sort of see, and it's also easier for me to start moving things in place where I want them to. Like I said, the paper's good. You know, if you haven't got software and stuff, the paper's a really easy way to sort of move the bits around and see exactly the sort of different shapes that are going to look good in your actual space. But you know, for the purpose of this video and hopefully, you know, the aesthetics of this video, it'd be better if we look at the screen and we can go through that way. Right, here we are in Garden Planner 3. As you can see, there's the sort of basic layout of the garden. Ignore the beds in the middle at the sec. So we've got the shed on the north side. We've got those couple of beautiful birches there on the sort of western edge, northwestern edge. There's that little stone underneath there. Hopefully you can see that, the rock that marks the edge of where I want to be putting any kitchen garden beds. On the south side, let's move this out of the way. I think. Oh, is it moving? There we go. So on the south side here, we've got the greenhouse and the raised beds either side. And on the eastern side here, we have that fence with the bed sort of underneath it. And here is the other raised bed I have in that sort of area with a trellis over the top of it. Although that trellis is a bit fancier looking than my twigs all put together, my branches put together. Now I've got a basis. What I was going to use is mulch. That's what I think I said that in one of my earlier videos. I'm going to use the wood chippings that I got, fortunately, off the arborist the other day for free. So that's a bit of a bargain. And I'm feeling that they're going to be better overall for my kitchen garden because I can replace them easy enough, you know, and stones, you lose stones here and there, and they've been getting on my nerves. So I'm going for the chippings. Now, I've started off with these 6x4 beds. As you can see, all fits nicely. Maximum sort of use of space there. I've got the 3 foot on the edges and a bit narrower down the middle where I don't really need the wheelbarrow to go down the middle. I can go down the long edges with my wheelbarrow. Make that a bit further out that way. And like I said, it's great. You know, I'll be able to grow a load of veg in there. Nice, new, looking good. Is that my dream kitchen garden though? I don't think it is. So why don't I take the chance while I'm here to do a bit of an experimentation, start to think about creating my dream kitchen garden. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I had a couple of ideas here. So what I'm going to do is, let's get these to the side. Let's bring in a 4x4 bed, and then make this bed a bit of an L shape. So I've still got that 6 foot, but then I've added 4 foot on the side there. Let's see if I can get another one in. So now I've got a couple of L-shaped beds there, and if I do that, I can make myself a little area, can't I? Right, so I still want that about a 3 foot gap, so that's about a metre, so sort of about there, and then bring this 6 foot bed in again, so I've got this L shape, and let's do that here. So then I could put something in the middle there. That could be flowers or something, couldn't it? So then I can draw all the pollinators in with the flowers in that sort of nice 4x4 bed, or maybe even put some water in the middle of that. And then I've got the L-shaped beds either side with all the veg in. Now, you know, is that the most efficient use of space? No, but I'm liking the look of that already. And, you know, again, there's that sort of, why do I want a kitchen garden? And one of them is for it to make me feel good. And I think something like that could have the potential to making me feel better than just looking at an ordinary load of beds. Now, I've still got more space here. I'm not trusting this bit here, actually. I'm thinking that 2 6 foot beds aren't going to fit as well. And also, there's another thing I've got to think about, isn't there? One of the things I wanted to do was to be able to grow the corn without those pesky raccoons getting in there. So I need some sort of fence. So let me just take this out for the minute. And this, you know, it's not, maybe the aesthetics aren't going to be there. Maybe if I come here, make this bed a little bit bigger. Let's make it, yeah, not 20. Let's make it, let's have a look here. 2 meters. I can make it a bit bigger than that. 3 meters might be too big. Oh, let's try it. 3. Right, what if I move this? Yeah, maybe that's a bit too big. Maybe 3.5. So if I have this a bit of a longer bed, so I still have it 4 feet wide, have it a bit longer, and then sort of put it in the middle, so there's again the symmetrical, so there's the aesthetic look is there, and then I can think about a fence around that particular area, and I can grow corn in that area with no fear. Let me see if I can, what do I want? Walls and fences. Oh, no, I don't want that. Walls and fences. So it's going to be a metal fence of some sort. Doesn't really matter. Chain link. Well, I'm just going to put that in there for the minute. Now, when I'm thinking about this, I want to be able to, so I don't really need to access the short side. Do I need to access the short side or the long side? The long side. All right, let's rotate this. Oh, no, not rotate that. Rotate that. So I'll probably need to move this bed a little bit this way, and then I've got a fence. There. Let's duplicate it and get one the other side.
I only need to access one long side. I can reach across, or can I? No. Oh, don't want to do that. Right, so I need to be able to walk around it, but I don't need to have to. Let's duplicate it again. Right, let me get this right, and then I'll come back to you. So I've sort of done this one. I'm not particularly happy. I'm going to have to work on that. But the general layout, I'm actually liking that now. We've got these 4 L-shaped beds with the 4-foot one in the middle. Maybe that might have to be a 3-foot so that I can get the wheelbarrow around, or I can at least come from the side, so maybe I don't. Now, let's add a few things in here now. What about some trellising and some archways, etc.? So I could, let's think about walls, fences and doors. No, a trellis, no. An obelisk. I could put an obelisk in the middle there. Doesn't have to be that big. Right? So we can have an obelisk there in the middle, and that can so that's going to be sort of flowers. There'll be flowers coming up, a clematis or something like that, clematis going up the obelisk. What about some sort of trellis? Let's have a look. Some sort of archway. How about this then? Some sort of pergola. No, here we are. Garden arch. We can have some sort of garden arch here. And if I make it a bit... Is it the length? Let's have a look. That may be a bit big. Right, I think we got the gist there. So let's make that a wooden one. So I can utilise then this archway to grow some tomatoes or some beans or anything like that up. So why don't I, in fact I can have archways all the way around, can't I? So let's put another one on the other side then. Duplicate. So now we're utilising a bit more space. So whereas I was thinking, hang on, I haven't got that much space, but now I can use the vertical. So let's do another. May not do all of this, but might as well have a look. So let's turn that. Oh, wrong one. So then we can have one here. Oh, let's move that one here and here. So all of a sudden now I've got nice vertical growing space here in 4 areas. I've got some nice long beds here, all with the sun coming onto them. That's good. I've got a nice area where I can grow some flowers in the middle there, bring in the pollinators. Excellent. And then I've got this area which I've got to work on, admittedly, where I can be the fenced off bit and grow. That's a nice good block of corn I can put in there. So what do you reckon? I think that is the basis of a good kitchen garden there. Could be my dream kitchen garden-ish. Actually, this is the edge here, isn't it? I could utilise a bit more space, I think, on the edge here, possibly. I could put maybe a couple of 2-foot beds. So let's make this 5 of a metre. So I could even still get a bit more space in here. Let's duplicate that. With another couple of beds on the edge, maybe. I can see again on the practical side, when I go outside, I can have a look at that and see is that actually going to work. But I think this middle is the basis of my design. So there we go. What have I got? I've got this roped off area which is one of the things I want. I've got the aesthetics with the sort of L-shaped design. I've got flowers in there, which is what I want. Drawing the pollinators and, make me feel good again. Even though the actual space itself isn't the most efficient use of all the space, I'm using the vertical with these 4 arches. Good. And I've got good sun on all of the other beds, so long beds facing the sun quite a lot here, so that's good. Got nice access all around, and I'm using the mulch. There we go. That is going to be my design, I think. So there you go. Design done. Well, maybe. I think that's the basis of my design. I like the look of that. It's ticked off a number on my design list that I wanted to do. A bit more work, I think, on the actual fencing bit, but I'm sure I can work that out. But there's a couple of different ways there that I've showed you on how you can design your garden, or use different tools rather that can help you design your garden. We've got the basic but still really useful paper. As long as you've got a nice drawing that is to scale, then you can cut your pieces of paper to scale and you can move them around, and they will give you a particularly, a definitely good idea of how your space is going to look. And then we've got the software, that Garden Planner 3, particularly, I don't get anything out of it, but it's quite a decent little bit of software for $40 odd Canadian dollars, and that's helped me really sort of picture where everything is going to be. And like I said, I've ticked off a number of the different things that I wanted in my want list, and there we go. There's a little look at how to design your dream kitchen garden. Now on to the practical elements. I better get amongst clearing my old kitchen garden, ready to implement my new design. Job's a good one.